You're live. Claudetta,
Yes.
you guys are ready to go.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, everybody. Sorry for that brain fart. So today we will be talking about co-parenting with a toxic ex. My brother Leon is a diagnosed narcissistic person. He is NPD. So he is the subject matter expert, and he will be speaking on that today. I will just be kind of guiding y'all along for this great ride. So I hope you're ready. If not, go ahead and buckle up, Buttercup, because we about to dive in. Leon, you ready?
Yes, ma'am. I'm always ready.
Cool. Okay. So, for those who are unfamiliar, I will let you know that having children with someone creates a team, right? And it joins you for life. It doesn't matter if the kids are 8 or 80, whatever. You're a team, right? But you and your partner may not necessarily stay together. You guys might switch teams or whatever. But no matter what the situation is, you should always still be a team for your child. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, that is not always the case. So co-parenting with a toxic ex can be extremely challenging due to the fact that they're self-centered. They are they are non-empathetic to what you may feel or whatever you are going through within your realm of parenting. They tend to sometimes manipulate situations for their own benefit, and they do not care about what you feel. On the other hand, it is possible to manage that relationship. So, Leon, I guess to start us off, I would like to know if you would want to share any of your experiences as a dad with your relationship with your parenting.
Yeah. So with parenting, first let's start off. I say that um, parenting was hard for me because I lost the ability to want to be a parent at age 11 when my parents got divorced. And just recently, my sister, she talks about it. We talk about it. She said that I was the favorite child. I never thought that, and more than likely I was, because when I started thinking about it, I got away with a lot. And so, in saying that, people have to understand if you're dealing with, and nobody asks this question when you're dating somebody, hey, were you the favorite child? Nobody ever asked me, and I never talked about it. But you go into relationships expecting to be the favorite person, the favorite parent, the favorite father, okay, or the favorite parent or mother. And so I was kind of, I thought about this. My sister just recently told me this. And then in even therapy, my therapist, we talk about my relationship with my mother, but I avoided it because I thought it was all bad because I was a very selfish, toxic, self-centered, egotistical little kid. And it didn't start coming out until I joined the Navy. And then it got worse. And then I learned how to hide it. And then I learned how to deny it. So I lied a lot and I deflected. And so I became I became very toxic. When my I was so toxic that to get revenge on somebody, a woman, I would cheat. And that's the beginning of a toxic person because I lied when I cheated. Not even that I not it's not just that I just lied, but I never told her that I cheated. I wasn't gonna do that. But when I didn't get my way, I had to find a way to hurt her. And I wasn't a
Mm,
physically abusive man. I was a verbally abusive man. So if she hurt my feelings by telling me the truth, if she hurt my feelings by being right, I would hurt her feelings by cheating. And then
mm,
so I got in trouble by cheating because the woman I was cheating with got pregnant. And then my girlfriend at the time, my fiance, was pregnant, and they were both pregnant at the same time. And so I made a choice to not be a parent to the girl that I was sleeping with that I wasn't engaged to. And that was the first toxic part. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to highlight for the audience the fact that you took accountability by saying that you made a choice
Hmm. Oh,
to
yeah.
do what you did. It wasn't. you weren't acting as though you're a victim or this situation happened to you. There's accountability in that, and that is huge as a narcissistic person, and it shows your growth and your commitment to your therapy. So I just wanted to highlight that. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So
You're
now,
welcome.
while I was acting this way, there was no accountability. So just know, right? You hit on a perfect point, but that was only was I able to realize these things and fix them and want to fix them through therapy. Prior to therapy, I avoided all of that. Even though I was wrong in
Mm-hmm.
cheating, I was wrong in having two women pregnant at the same time. I was wrong in making a decision. I was still not ready to be honest about making a bad decision. I
Right.
just said, too bad, get over it. You're pregnant, whatever. What are y'all gonna do about it? That's how I was. I never processed that it was wrong. I never processed that I hurt those women. And the one that was pregnant by me before I got engaged, or while I was engaged, while I was engaged, I discarded her and ignored her the fact that when she was pregnant. I told her that wasn't my baby, which of course I had no clue that it wasn't. I had a good clue that it was because there was no protection. And at the same time, she had a boyfriend too. So I was like, that's his baby. This is what I told her. I don't know why you telling me that's his baby. So come to find out, DNA, and I saw my daughter. This was in 1995. I still denied her, even though I saw her. So I was toxic, about as toxic as a man could get. When you have a child, this is how bad it got. We went to court, and I looked at my daughter, and I was like, whatever. And her grandmother called me out in court, called me names in court. The judge told us to calm down. It got ugly. This was in the 90s. I was 20 some years old, 26, 27, I think. And so it got ugly. And I denied my daughter in court in front of the judge and her mother because I was toxic and didn't want to admit to being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And so 6 weeks later, I got the letter in the mail, the DNA test, you are the father. And I was still mad. Even though I was the one that was wrong, I was
Yeah.
sleeping with two women, not practicing protected sex. I was unprotected sex with two women at the same time, day after day, didn't care, and both got pregnant. And so when my daughter came, I didn't see her for years. I was talking to a lady yesterday about dealing with a toxic ex, and her boyfriend doesn't want to come see the daughter that they have. She said, how long can this go on? I said, it can go on for years. Anyway, I did that, and me and my wife got married. We had a baby, and my daughter was stillborn that same year. She passed away in May, and the girl that I cheated with had my daughter in September of that year, and they had the same name. So I did a lot of bad stuff, and I should have been in jail for my adultery, but I wasn't. And so years later, this was in the 90s. I didn't start talking about my personality disorder until I was 55 years old. I'm 59.
Mm-hmm.
And at this time, I was in my mid 20s. My MPD was through the roof. You talking about people talk about a lack of empathy, but they have no idea how bad it could be.
Yeah.
And I know. So yeah, I was very toxic. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Please speak on your situation. You are helping so many people, in my opinion, by being completely transparent about who you were, your methodology, your mindset, and about the work that you've done to become a better person and how to help other people. So you feel free to take the reins and run with it until you're done talking about a topic. I'm
Yeah.
just here to, facilitate. Just go
Okay.
for it. Do
And
you have
so
anything else you want to share?
yeah, it's just that when you call a person toxic, not only are they toxic, but they don't have any tonic in a relationship. I want people to look that up. So we forget about the balances and the great times and the being fair in a relationship. I didn't have any of that. And I didn't, when we talk about a lack of empathy, it's very true. I didn't have any of that. And so my daughter was, um, the daughter that me and my wife had at the time was stillborn. She passed away in May of that year, 95. And then the lady that I cheated with, she had my daughter who's 29 now. Um, and she was premature. She was born a month early because I put a lot of stress on her mother. So this toxic ex thing, this toxic man, toxic woman thing goes deeper than people think. We do things to hurt people because in my mind, I said that it was her fault that she got pregnant. Yet we were practicing unprotected sex, and I was going over there having sex with her often when I should
Mm-hmm.
not have been doing that. And so I tell people I did that at age 25. It started. I didn't get therapy. I didn't start practicing my therapy sessions until I was 55. So 30 years after my narcissism was through the roof. And then at 46 or 47, I went into therapy, but I didn't start really talking about this until 8 years after my second bout of therapy. So people think, because I'm gonna let y'all know this, when a person is toxic, they're toxic to their core. They're toxic to their finest fiber of their heart, of their soul, their spirit. But we don't talk about how toxic they can be. When they have a child with somebody that they're mad at, or they're jealous of, which I was mad at my daughter's mother for years. I didn't speak to her for 10 years after that. But she did nothing wrong. I was the one that did wrong. And I could shut down. This is how deep and this is how severe toxic and the silent treatment can be. I didn't speak to my daughter's mother for probably 10 years, and I didn't have a problem with it. The only reason why we started talking is because my daughter's mother's mother, my daughter's grandmother, called me when I was in Virginia. She said, you need to start seeing your daughter. That's the only reason it changed, because had she not called me, who knows when I would start seeing my daughter. And now my daughter's a mother and I'm a grandfather because of my daughter. And so toxic goes deeper than what we say. We just sling the word around, but toxic could be a man that has 2 or 3 women pregnant at the same time. It could be a man that rejects his daughter because he's mad at her mother because her mother got pregnant and didn't have an abortion. That was me. I even gave her the money to abort the child, and she kept the money for a week and told me to come get the money. And that's when I decided I'll hate you forever. And then forever went 10 years, and we're cool now. We can laugh about it now. But I was very toxic. I was very demonic. We talk about narcissistic people being demonic. It's true, because my hate for her was deep, and I didn't have a reason to hate her. She had every reason to hate me because she thought she was my girlfriend, but I had another girlfriend.
So I have a question, follow-up question. So when you say that toxic people are toxic to their core, right?
Yeah.
For the listeners, he's living proof that that's not an end all to be all. That is not who you will end up being in your life. That is a part of his life, who he was. And Leon, I want you to be sure to mention this when you talk to people, because some people will listen to your story and only hear what you say, right? And then that'll be what they take with them. And then in their thought process, if they're dealing with someone who is toxic, or if you set off a trigger within someone that lets them realize, oh, that might be me, then they're thinking possibly that this is who I am. I can't change. I just want to make sure that people understand he's speaking about himself in the past as well as the present tense. He's telling you who he used to be, but who you're listening to right now is who he is, and he has done the work to change his life and become a better person. So if you are out there dealing with a toxic person, I just want you to know that there is hope. If that person wants to get help, there's hope for you as well. But the person that's dealing with this affliction, if you will, is the person I would say that probably needs more help.
I'm glad you said that, because what happens is, even in therapy, I was going to therapy smelling like cigarettes and Black and Miles, and I always joke about it. Old chicken grease, because I used to go to this gas station in Great Lakes. I did. I would go in there, I'd get me some chicken wings, or I'd get me a pork chop, and he put it on white bread. This was at 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning at a gas station.
I know.
Right? Yeah.
I know.
And I go eat that, then I go smoke a cigarette or Black and Mild, then I go into therapy.
Hey, just for everybody listening, wait, I just want you to know, I am not laughing per se as if this is a joke. Leon and I are friends, and we have had conversations. So there are layers of the conversation that you guys aren't privy to, which is why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at the situation because it is not funny. So go ahead. I'll try to not laugh, but I can't really help it.
I tell people the story because I want them to understand how unimportant therapy was to me. It wasn't important to me. And the fact that I was in the Navy is what held me accountable, because when you go to therapy, if you're going to smell like piss, boo-boo, cigarettes, or hot grease, they're going to tell on you. So when I went in my therapist's office, she was a 4'11", 125-pound white lady, and she said, can you not come in here and smell like cigarettes? And I'm thinking like, well, I'm saying to myself, after this session, I'm going to smoke another cigarette. So you might as well just get used to me smelling like smoke. I like to smell like smoke. But anyway, so I didn't care about therapy. I was just checking the block so that I can get my diagnosis again and get my disability and all that and be gone. But that was more to it than that. When I started liking therapy is when I started listening and making changes. Because she told me, this is what she said. She said, you don't have to come here acting all big and bad with me. That's what she told me. Oh, it pissed me off. I wanted to bite her ear off or something, but I couldn't do anything. So I had to suffer and eat my anger, because my anger gets so bad that, like, I could like I don't know, bite something or punch something or kick something. And so I was in therapy, sitting on that ugly yellow couch, orange couch. I'm sorry, with a and I told her, I said, your pictures are ugly. I had to get that anger off me because she pissed me off, and I couldn't do anything. I wasn't gonna be violent, but I was at the VA hospital, so I told her pictures on the walls were ugly. And she's like, well, that has nothing to do with what we talk about today. And I said, well, I'm not gonna talk about anything. We went back and forth. Oh, we went
Petty
back and forth.
Patrick. That's what you were. You were a Petty Patrick
I
on
was
that
petty.
ugly orange sofa. You didn't
Yeah,
want to talk.
I told
But
her.
she was determined that she
Yeah,
was going to get you to open up so that you can help yourself. So
yeah, and
God
I
bless
didn't.
her, man.
Yeah, so I didn't think that I needed any help, because here I am, a command
Yeah.
master in the Navy with 30. At the time, I had 30 years in, 31
Yeah.
years in, and I'm like, you think I got issues? I'm making 120,000 a year. I'm in charge of a lot of
You don't
people.
need her help.
Right. I didn't need. I
Who
didn't.
is
I thought I
she?
did. Right.
I
And so
know. I know.
and so people in the military, we're held accountable, because when you don't go to therapy, so every time I walk in there and walk out, or come in there smelling like smoke or chicken or just stinking, she would email my captain, say, Mr. Walker came in here today. He was unsettled. He was mean, grumpy. And I didn't start reading all of my paperwork until a few years ago, 2021, and
Hmm.
started reading. And this stuff was in my records from back in the 80s and 90s. I just started reading it. So just so you all know, when a person is toxic and they don't get any help, okay, if just say you see the traits of them, and you can kind of like, you have a basic idea who they are. Nobody can diagnose people but psychotherapists and psychiatrists, psychologists. But anyway, psychologists prescribe the medicine. Psychotherapists prescribe NPD, some of them. But anyway, the fact that that person has issues and they're toxic, whether they're NPD or BPD or psychopath or sociopath, be, therapy for me is indefinite. And I only know that is because the psychotherapist told me, and it was stamped in my medical record in big, bold letters, capital letters too. It says therapy for PX. PX is considered a patient. Therapy for PX is indefinite. And I didn't know that until 2021. And this happened years before that. So for those of you that my reason for saying is that for those of you that are dealing with a toxic person, they could be toxic for the rest of their life unless they get help like I did. I am 59 years old, and I got help at 55 or 48. Go ahead.
So I have a question. With regards to now we talking now you are diagnosed as a narcissistic personality disorder, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But when we talk about toxic people, for the people that are listening, I want you to understand that we're not just talking about narcissistic people.
Right.
We are talking about people who are in domestic violence situations, people who like to be manipulative and controlling, who like to isolate you, who like to gaslight you, fight all the time, just argue. All of that is toxic. All of that falls under the umbrella of toxicity. But as with regards to the umbrella, I would like you to let the people know, how can, if I am dealing with someone who is toxic, how can I set and maintain like clear boundaries with that person as my co-parent? How do I do that? What does that look like?
So what happens is, I'm glad you shifted. So because I had a problem during my divorce, because toxic people, let's say you're dealing with, doesn't have these people keep calling that, and anyway, that you're dealing with a person that's not been diagnosed with NPD, but they're toxic. They're mean, they're angry, they're greedy, they're self-centered, they're controlling, they're dominant. That was me. They're going to always want to be the better parent, but they're not going to always want to be the better parent and spending more time with your child. Most times they want to spend time with the child to make you look like the parent that's not doing good. Most times they want to spend half the time with the child so that they don't have to pay child support. A lot of times they're spending time with the child so that they can be the better parent and buy gifts. it wasn't about me talking to my sons and making them better men, or talking to my daughter, making her a better young lady. I just wanted the time so they can like me more than they like their mother. I was jealous of both my mothers, my kids' mother, because they were better parents than I was, and I didn't like that. I would never have told them that prior to therapy. Matter of fact, I never told them that. I could tell them that now because I understand that it's okay to not be as good as another person in whatever sports, entertainment, or parenting. I understand that now. It's okay. It's still hard to say you're better than me. It's tough, but I don't have that feeling of being vulnerable or insecure when I mention that. So before, I wouldn't say that because I would feel vulnerable and insecure. So parenting, co-parenting with a toxic person, you have to remember. Say for instance, you have two kids, and it's tough to say this, but it's true. Your ex is your third child. So in any way you think you should deal with that person or deal with your kids, you have to deal with that grown child the same way. They're gonna always be jealous. They're gonna always try to derail your situation or your relationship with your kids. They're gonna always try to hurt or harm or take away the time that you have when you start seeing somebody else. You're gonna want them to babysit, which they shouldn't have to babysit their own kids. It's just like, okay, I'll keep my son or my daughter because you're going on a trip. They don't want you to go on a trip with anybody else. They don't want you spending time with another man or woman, even though they didn't want to spend time with you. So co-parenting with a toxic ex is hard because they claim to not want to be with you, but they still do. They're just not good enough to be the man that you or woman that you need for them to be. That was me with my ex-wife. I just couldn't step up and be the grown, mature man, but I wanted to be a parent and not I want to be a father, not a parent. It sounds better to me. Parenting is different than being a father. I didn't want to put in the work to be a parent.
So, are there any specific strategies or methodologies that your ex used with co-parenting along with you, with the boys, with your kids?
So what happened was, well, okay, I started wanting to be, and so when you have kids that understand and they can see the toxic in the parents, or they can see the turmoil or feel the thickness, tension in the house. I had to understand that because my son said, "Dad, why do people get divorced? What is that all about?" And I had to answer him. He was in the sixth grade. He was sixth grade, yeah. And so I had to start being, instead of being upset with her, I had to realize that I need to be better for my sons. Most people that are toxic in a relationship don't care or think about how much they are hurting the children. My goal was to hurt my ex-wife or my ex-girlfriend, and it wasn't. I didn't think about the damage that it was doing to my kids. That I'm an absent father at the time. Not absent. We were still in the same area. I was going to see them. They would come see me, but there was times where they would come over, and just because I had a house or a bigger house or a better house than her, which I didn't, as long as they had a bed and food, that was good enough for me. I wasn't spending quality time with them. So I had to understand the damage that was being done to my children, because I remember when my parents got divorced, my father left and I searched for him high and low. And I lost a lot of strength. I lost a lot of discipline. I lost a lot of time when my dad was gone. And it affected me because my mother didn't have the leadership in our home when my dad wasn't there. And so I knew that I had to start uh, being a better person to little boys and being a better person to my daughter, as opposed to wanting to hurt the mother of my children.
Okay. So hello, Miss Diamond. We have a question from Yellow Diamond. Leon, you want to take that?
Yeah, what prompted you to take psychological help serious? Answer that first part. Um, because it made me realize that I was psychologically damaged. I didn't know that I was psychologically damaged. I didn't think that I was psychologically damaged. I didn't want to hear it. But as I went to therapy every week for 1 hour, sometimes 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours on that yellow orange couch, I started really learning more about the psychological aspects of being toxic. Not only was I hurting me, but I was hurting people around me, and I didn't even realize it. I was in go mode. I was selfish. I was self-centered. So I started taking it serious when I started realizing that I can grow and get better from this. I knew that I was sick. I knew that I had a brain injury. I knew that I was slow. I knew that I was emotionally detached. I knew these things because I was always feeling it when I was with a woman. I started pulling away, slowly pulling away, not being as engaging, not being as loving, not being as caring. I had to realize, man, I need to take this serious, because if not, how worse can it get? And it can get worse. the second part, do you feel empathy now? I understand empathy. I know what it means. I've always understood empathy. That's why I was able to manipulate her feelings based on how she was feeling, based on how I was feeling. If I didn't want to talk, if I didn't want to hug, if I didn't want to hold hands, if I didn't want to cuddle. Empathy means I understand how you feel. I don't feel that way. So I understand empathy now. I can get myself close to it without like feeling icky. Like, why don't you quit crying? What the hell's wrong with you? I would always say that. I couldn't stand to see or hear a woman cry, even if I made her cry. Or if I didn't make her cry, I'm like, oh, here we go with this, all this. Like, I would go into funerals and see people crying and be like, oh, I wish they would stop crying. Yeah, in funerals. I remember doing that. Um, or do you just exercise it for reforming socially correct purposes? That too. I exercise it to reform, yes, and to correct purposes. I want to make sure I get it right. So I don't look at people when they cry in funerals and think that they're stupid or weak. I don't let a woman cry. I haven't made a woman cry in a long time, but I know now when she cries, I'll listen and I'll be fair and I'll meet her. I'll receive her. Because before I was like that empathy stuff. I no, but I had to stuff like that. I had to practice. That was a good question. I have to practice. I do, and even
Yeah.
still, instead of getting mad, popping off, yelling, and screaming, and pushing away, I can hug a woman when she cries. Yeah, that was a good questions. Those were good questions.
Thank you for your transparency. I you have no idea. I really, really appreciate it because you could have completely clammed up. so,
Yeah.
um, okay. So shifting gears, I have my notes here. I learned from somebody pretty smart. Let's see. So my next question, with regard to, have you had to deal with any legalities within your co-parenting, like
No.
court
So
situations or anything like that,
right, and
or
not
child
that
support orders, or
no, not that military people don't have problems with co-parent. We do, but I was in a precarious position to handle or ensure other people were paying their child support, attending their anger management classes, not getting involved with domestic violence. So I was a board member of things like that. So I had to be on the straight and narrow when it came to that. But that's because it was something either in it or not in it for me. For me, if I did get caught up in, I don't believe in domestic violence. Not that you believe in it or not, but I didn't want to be a part of that. I never was a physically violent man. But worst part for me was I was mentally abusive. I was verbally abusive, but I had to chill because I didn't want to get in trouble because I'm the master chief of the base and I wanted to look good. I didn't want to get in trouble. So a lot of times I took things and just went with it. I didn't yell and scream, or if I did yell and scream, it was kind of like muffled. But I struggle with that because I had anger issues back then as well. So holding people accountable caused me to hold myself accountable and not get in trouble for domestic violence or anything like that. But it didn't mean that I didn't think about being violent. I didn't want to be violent towards anybody, let alone my ex-wife and kids. And so that being in the military is what kept me grounded and not want to get in trouble. Not only because I was just like following the rules, but I had a reputation to uphold, which was part of my grandiosity too.
okay. Thank you. As you were speaking, it made me think about something. Have you had a conversation with either of your exes about the toll that your behaviors took on them as a parent as well as the children?
Yeah, just the other day, my ex-wife was telling me that my sons are 24 and 28, and they're still afraid to say certain things to me. Um, they still afraid to ask me things over and over again. If they ask for something, I forget or I don't do it. They're afraid to remind me. This
Hmm.
happened the other day. Matter of fact, two
Hmm.
days ago, my ex-wife told me, said, Leon, they're still afraid. I'm like, man, I really messed up. We're getting better now. Like stuff like my youngest son and I, he's here. We go to lunch every week or dinner every week. I've never done that before, and he's still kind of standoffish, but he's there. And
Yeah.
I feel crappy, but at least he goes and we go eat and we go hang out. So my ex is like with my daughter, her mother. We never talked about it, but my daughter, we get along better now, but they still have this something I did to them in the back of their mind, and I could possibly still be that person that could do it again, whatever that is, whether it was screaming or spanking them, something. But it's still relevant the way I treated them years ago. I didn't beat my kids. I yelled, I screamed, I called them names, yeah. And so just so you
So
know,
you were abusive. You just weren't physically abusive.
right, which is just as worse because it becomes mentally
Yeah.
abusive and they start thinking a different way and they don't want to be around you. They can't express themselves. They don't want to hug you. Oh yeah. So just so you know, a toxic parent, you got to deal with it once your kids get older. You got to deal
Yes.
with kids probably being toxic towards you.
Yes. So have you apologized to them?
Yeah, I've done
Okay.
that part. Yeah. I've done that. That was in therapy. One of my sessions was forgiveness and apologizing. And she said, "Well, next week, Mr. Walker, we're going to talk about apologizing." I was like, "I won't be here for that," but I had to go. Yeah, I didn't. Man, I tell you, apologize. I tell you, apologize. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was one
I
of the
know.
hardest things. Dang. Oh
I
man,
bet. I
and
bet.
some people are good at apologizing. I just wasn't. I'm not even good at
Well,
it now, but I'm
well,
better
see,
at it.
what you have to understand is that I'm not an expert on narcissistic personality disorders, but I am somewhat of a subject matter expert on accountability. So you can't take a person who's brash, arrogant, disrespectful, dismissive, and then throw accountable into there. It doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? It's like mixing oil and water. It just doesn't mix. So in your defense, you're not comfortable with accountability because you've never been accustomed to being accountable in the sense of your personal behavior. The
Right,
military is completely separate from you as a person because you clearly have a line for the type of professional advancement that you've had. You soared in the military, but you didn't necessarily do that in your personal life. So it's like you are two separate people. You know what I'm saying? The compartmentalization was real. So on one hand, you were aware of what accountability looked like because it was drawn out and it's pretty clear in the military what will and won't happen if you don't do X, Y, and Z, whatever. But in your personal life, you murked the waters and nobody necessarily held you accountable because you were good at what you were doing. So
yeah,
it's no shocker to me that this is like empathy is something that you have to work towards, or being accountable is something that you have to work towards. Those things it's not lost on me that it's a new concept to you, because I think that kind of comes with the territory. And that's not to give you a pass or nothing, but that's just, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? The fact is you're still working on it and you do the best you can every day. That's all any of us can ever do. So,
right. Yeah, and you're exactly right. So I was great at my job, but I sucked at home.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is the life of a lot of career professionals, not just the military, a lot of career professionals, especially when we talk about jobs where there is a sense of professionalism or authority involved. Sometimes those lanes can kind of merge. Sometimes we drag work home, and sometimes work gets dragged. Sometimes home gets dragged to work. It varies in different on different levels with different people. Some people can separate the two, and some people can't. And there are also levels of the damage that is done when you drag one part of your life towards the other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's something that we all have to be aware of and then do something about it. You can't just be, you can't know the shit happening and then don't do nothing, like that makes no sense.
It doesn't. Right.
There you go, Leon. Miss Diamond is speaking to you.
Yeah, she said it's nearly impossible for, oh, you're welcome. It's impossible for a narcissist to admit wrongdoing. So what happened was before therapy, I'd never admitted wrong, ever, ever. Wrongdoing, nope. I would circle around it, make them feel bad, get angry, make them go away and forget about ask me, am I going to apologize? Oh yeah, it was bad. She's right.
Or
Um,
deflect. Y'all
big
deflect
time,
too.
big time. So so here's the thing. Hold on, let me get, hold on.
He probably got DoorDash or something, y'all.
No, I gotta get something to drink.
Ain't nobody, you can talk back. You ain't even in front of the camera. Hush. Let me talk.
And so Only reason why I was able to start talking about apologizing was in therapy, because in therapy, you sit there, and I realized that if I walk out, she's going to tell on me. And if she tells on me, yeah, she did. If she tells on me, my captain's going to have a sit down with me, and I don't want that.
Yes.
Because I was supposed to be, and you know this, in the Navy, when you're a command master, you're supposed to have a level of maturity. That
Yeah.
I had it, but I didn't have it.
Yes.
And so, but not having it, I had a lot of fun with that. But anyway, so I knew that if I walk out of this office, she's going to tell on me. So that forced me to sit there. In civilian world, there's nobody holding these people accountable to walk out or not even show up. And you know, in the military, when you have an appointment with a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, or a psychologist, and you don't no show, they tell your command.
Hell, that could be dental. And you
They dental,
show up, they're gonna
getting your
tell.
shots.
It don't matter who it is. If you got an appointment, any type of medical appointment, they telling. And it ain't necessarily like nanny. It's like we have this part of their mission, right? They have a certain protocol. That's part of what they have to get done. So if they have
Exactly.
10 appointments that they have to conclude during the day and they only do 5, then that goes towards their statistics and their job performance. So
Medical
they can't
readiness.
be they can't be
Exactly.
screwed on that either. So yeah.
And so I knew that I was causing problems not only home, but at the medical department, right? The psych ward, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, let's see what happens if I stick this out. And so I started going, and then I see next week, Miss Walker. I look back at Miss Walker. I would look back at her like, yes, ma'am, I'll be back. And then when I showed up late, said, hey, she was getting on me. She was, ooh, it was. That's the painful part therapy. Painful part about therapy is that for us in the military, if you don't show, they're going to notify somebody. And if you don't show, the next time you do show, they're going to say, hey, don't just walk in here like you didn't miss last week, Miss Walker. I'm like, okay, let me remind you. So I got the type of treatment, and that's what people don't want. They don't want to be held accountable. They really don't. That's why they don't go. So in civilian world, if you don't show up, it's no big deal. They're not going to tell on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, had I not got therapy at 47, 48, at 59, I would still be very, very toxic, mean, angry, and promiscuous. So for
Yeah.
those of you that are dealing with somebody that's a toxic is co-parenting with a toxic ex or soon-to-be ex, if they're not getting help or not seeking help or not talking about getting help, that toxicness will go for a very long time. It's going to affect your children now and later on.
Awesome. So did you another thing I was thinking about with regards to your ex is, do you know what type of support systems they had in place to help them? Or did you guys ever have a conversation about it? Or did you, I'm pretty sure that before you went to therapy, you did not care. I'm pretty sure you did not care. But since going to therapy and trying to peel back the layers of the onion and like mend the situation, if you will, have you asked those questions, or did you know how they filled the void of you not being there?
Well, a
Because
lot of
we
times,
were raised by villages, so just wondering.
right. A lot of times, me not being there was healthier for them.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of my exes went to therapy. I will tell you this, and I just talked to my ex-wife about 4 months ago, and she said we were out at dinner, me, her, and her brother, and she said, and I'm telling you this because just because you go to marriage counseling don't mean it's gonna get better. She said, do you remember going to marriage counseling? And I said, I remember driving to the building. I can't tell you where it was. I know it was in Illinois somewhere. I can tell you what happened I can tell you this. I can tell you that I remember getting out of the car, walking to that building, and sitting on the couch. That's all I remember. And she said, you told him to call you Double O. My nickname is Double O. My mother gave me that when I was a baby. She said, I told the therapist, the counselor, to call me by my nickname. And when he didn't, she said, I went off. I do not remember any of that. I can't. Only thing I remember about marriage counseling is driving there, parking in the parking lot, walking in, and sitting on I remember a yellow or a white couch. I don't remember him being there. I don't remember my ex-wife being there. And that's where my memory stops. So my friend, a psychologist, said the reason that happened, or what happens when that happens, is that at that time, those two people, your ex-wife and the therapist, were not a part of your agenda.
Mm-hmm.
People with MPD and mood disorder, or maybe even toxic people. I had the ability to block out being at therapy. I didn't want to be there. I was forced to go there, which my wife did the right thing by, hey, let's go to counseling so we can fix his marriage. But fixing our marriage wasn't on my agenda. So
Yeah.
I don't remember. I wasn't even there when I was there. And I just found this out a few months ago. She asked me, had she not asked me, I could tell people I've never been to marriage counseling. Matter of fact, I did one of my videos. I told them, I said, I've never been to marriage counseling. I never had therapy with a black person. Yeah. And the guy that was our therapist was a black male. I don't even
Yeah.
remember him. Have no
I guess so.
recollection.
I guess that's similar to like the guy that statutorily raped me. How when I wrote the book, I completely left him out of it, and I didn't realize it until after I had wrote the book, because my therapist was saying that it's a way of your brain trying to protect you from trauma. You block out certain traumatic experiences that have happened in your life. It's not necessarily the same, but with you saying that it wasn't a part of your agenda was to continue living the way that you wanted to live as
Exactly.
opposed to mending your marriage. And my agenda was trying to forget that I had been hurt by this person so that I could try and be as whole as possible. And to think about him was too hard. I couldn't deal with it. So I just blocked that all out. And I blocked it out to the point where I really did forget about him. Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
I digress. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes
Yeah.
away. So my ex-wife reminded me about that a few months ago, and I was like, man, I told her, I said, Renee, I don't remember. I remember driving there. I remember sitting on the couch. Other than that, I do not remember what.
Wow.
No. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my point in saying that, answer your question, is that just because a person is in marriage counseling doesn't mean that they're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Because I failed that too. Never went back. Went through there once and never went back.
Hell,
Never.
I went to marriage counseling and I'm divorced. So it didn't work. And went in there and lied. Was
Yeah.
getting haymakers dropped on me at home and was not telling the truth. And I can't remember how many sessions we had gone to, but long story short, we started going together, and from jump we was lying. Well, at least I was lying because I wasn't telling the whole truth about what was happening at home or whatever. And then he felt like the counselor was on my side, so he didn't want to go anymore or whatever. So then that was that. And then the second time we went, it was the same thing. He felt like the counselor was on my side and he didn't want to deal with it anymore. And then I continued with individual counseling, and I just decided that it was nothing that was going to be beneficial for us as a couple because we weren't even telling the truth. So
Right.
the help that we were getting was based on the lies or the omissions. I'm not going to say lies because no one asked me flat out that I can recall if, I was put in harm's way at home. I don't remember that being asked. But even if they asked me, I was going to lie, whatever. But I omitted. So my therapy, my counseling, none of it was going to address the problems that I was having because I wasn't even telling the whole story. So
Right.
there was a wasting of people's time. God bless them. I'm sorry that I wasted y'all time. If y'all see this, I'm sorry I wasted y'all time. But I thought I knew what I was doing, but clearly I did not. Clearly I did not. But I made it out. So yay.
So yeah, that to answer your question, we went and it didn't do any good because I wasn't ready. Women think that they can. Oh, we're going to counseling right now, and that man, if he doesn't, I tell you what, if the man doesn't recommend it and you do it, but he's not, if he doesn't agree to it, it's already a failure. He may go, and he may
Yeah.
be in there while he may be checking in and checking out at the same time.
Yes. I definitely well, two things are true for me. I thought I could love him through the pain. Women sometimes as nurturers, we tend to think that love conquers all. I know I used to believe that. I I believed it so much I probably would have got a tattoo of it. Thank God I didn't, because love does not conquer all. It's just like in the Bible, faith without works is dead. For those of you who aren't religious, I apologize, whatever. But you got to do the work. So you can't smooch it away. You can't cuddle it away. You can't gift it away. You can't screw it away. None of that. You can't imagine it away. If you're not trying to do the work, then you're definitely going to be stuck. And I'm so glad that I finally did the work, because my life now, I would have never envisioned my life being what it is now, but I am so grateful. I am so grateful that you did your work, because I, as your friend, see the growth in you, and it is awesome. And I just want nothing but great things for you. So,
well, thank you for that, because you know what?
you're very welcome.
I never had, like, besides you and maybe a couple others, we didn't talk about uh, growth and development with reference to therapy. We didn't. We talked about getting promoted, um, the initiation season, getting underway, writing evals, awards. Because in the military, we just go, go, go. We don't sit down and
Yes.
say. And then when I first came in, had you requested psychological help, they'd make fun of you, or you would probably get kicked out.
Yeah.
Because that was a taboo. You didn't go to the psych ward. You don't go to
No.
talk to doctors. No, And so that was one thing. I was like, oh, I'll never do this. I did it once or twice.
Yeah.
But other than that, you deal with it, and then people go home, and that's when the domestic violence was on the rise, and divorces were on the rise. We were deploying, and cheating was on the rise, and drugs was on the rise. We had access to help, but nobody was pushing us. And mental health is important. Even now, mental health is important, but they make fun of people for mental health. So, like,
Yes.
in the military, it was like, they want a training time off,
Mm-hmm.
they want a mental health day off. Well,
Yep.
I used to be
Yep.
like, that's great, but that's just a break. We do need a break.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
needs a time out here and there. Um, there's
Burnout
just
is real. And that whole
burnout is
suck it
real.
up buttercup, that is one of the worst phrases that has ever been created. I,
Yeah,
and I'm a prime example of sucking it up. And I sucked it up to the point where I almost died.
yeah,
And
that's
for what?
exactly.
For what? It's crazy. And we talk about things, but we don't. When it's time for the rubber to meet the road, is a gap. You feel me?
Yeah,
We talk about doing the right thing, and
but
then
we
the
don't.
road right there, but there's that gap right there. Y'all see that gap? That's what it don't work. It don't match. It don't work. And it will look good. We'll make it look good, but at the end of the day, you have suicide rates going up. You have mental health issues going up, and like you said, people are making fun of people for trying to seek help. It's like you want people to be broken, and then everybody isn't made the same. Everybody can't put up and tolerate the same amount of stress. That's just like everybody doesn't have the same pain tolerance. But there's this um invisible, I guess, um thought process that everybody's supposed to just deal. And dealing is cool in certain situations, i.e., if we were during wartime. Clearly, my snag nail ain't an issue. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna bite that thing off and I'm gonna keep going or whatever. Or if I stump my toe. However, in peacetime, you know what I'm saying? Ain't bullets ain't flying, ain't no bombs being dropped. Let's make sure that we're whole in every sense of the way so that we can move forward in our mission, because mission does not stop. You know, mission first, sailors always, as we say in the Navy. But I digress. I can stay on that soapbox forever, but I'm off of it. So
Well, you know what? Going back to the co-parenting with the toxic ex, the problem with me started with, oh yeah, I want to have sex. Oh, we're gonna have sex. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Or whatever. But I never planned to be a father.
yeah.
Women plan, say, hey, I'm ovulating and I'm not on the pill, Leon. I'm like, I don't. What the hell are you telling me that for? I ain't pulling out. That's the type of dude I would. That's the type of stuff I would say. So she would prepare for a child, or when she got pregnant, she started preparing just like that. I started unpreparing just like that. So
Yeah.
you have this toxic ex. It starts when you get pregnant and then you tell him and he gets mad. I got
Mm.
pissed with her, and but I was, like I mentioned earlier, we were having unprotected sex. So the possibilities of her getting pregnant were high. And then when she did get pregnant, my anger went high and my empathy went even lower. And so
Mm.
you toxic ex that the moment they became very toxic is when you told them you were pregnant. I guarantee. Because when you invite him over for sex, he wasn't toxic.
Excuse me.
You know, people keep calling me. Then people don't even call me this much now. I'm on your podcast, but when you talk about sleeping with a person, they're not toxic at that time, or you don't see it, but it's there. But
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna come over and do you a favor, break you up, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start, hey, I missed my period, I'm feeling sick in the mornings. What the hell are you telling me for? So that toxic person is starting to grow within them even more. It's already there. It was just a little dormant. So it starts to grow, and then you say, hey, I'm pregnant. This was me. What the hell are you telling me for? And as soon as she told me she was pregnant, I said, I'll bring you a couple of $100. And then she denied, well, you can come get your money. I don't want to have an abortion. And then she goes into month 2 and month 3 in the first trimester, the second trimester, third trimester. And the bigger she got, the further away I was. And then you have the baby, they're gonna be even more toxic because now it's like I gotta come see this child, or I gotta pay child support. Yeah, you should want to see your child, and you're gonna have to pay. That was me. So the toxic person starts well before you see them being toxic in parenting. So they already go into parenting despising you, blaming
Mm.
you. You the reason why they got a baby. Then they'll start saying nasty things. I don't want you to have my child. You know I have a girlfriend. I never thought I'd have kids with you. My mother don't like you. I don't want my daughter to be a product of your environment. You start hearing all kind of nasty stuff. And I said that, but I was the nastiest, dirtiest, filthiest person.
Mm. Okay. So, um, in preparation for today's podcast, I know I told you I did my homework.
Oh yeah.
I I got together some tips and some questions. So what I would like to do is I would like to tell our audience, give them the tips. And if you have anything that you would like to add to what I have, feel free to add that at the end of
Sure.
each sentence. Okay. So when dealing with the toxic ex, as a lot of people unfortunately have to deal with, here are some tips that I have found, and I really hope that they are helpful for you guys. To one, set some clear boundaries, because toxic parents try to overstep. They are habitual line oversteppers. So it's important to calmly and clearly communicate your boundaries, and you got to stay consistent. If you say that if you're co-parenting and I don't know, the ex gets them every other weekend, you need to set up a schedule, right? Life will life, we get that, but set up a schedule to where you pick them up at this appointed place or at this appointed time or whatever. And then as the schedule changes, then you communicate that. But it needs to be consistent so that the children can have some normalcy, because they're the ones who are directly impacted by this, and they're the main people who you need to be making a priority. You and your ex are kind of irrelevant. I think it's about the kids. So Leon, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. Now, with reference to parenting, boundaries, you're 100% correct. Stop flirting with them. Stop playing with them. Say what you mean what you say. Stick to it. Don't relent. Don't have makeup sex. If you want to be nice, let them be nice first, because they'll trick you into sleeping with them again. They're coming back around, and they used to be mad at you, and now they want to start being nice and have fun. It's not to it's not to be a better parent. It's to have sex with you. Believe that. Um, Keep them. The boundaries are very important. But what's the boundary? If they come to take the kids out for the birthday or the Easter or Christmas, whatever, there's set times they come, there's set times that they bring them back. You need to make sure you hold them accountable. They don't want to be held accountable. They didn't want to be held accountable before they were a parent. They don't want to be held accountable now. They don't want to pay child support. Don't say, hey, okay, I won't first thing a lot of people say, well, don't put me on child support, but then they want to ration out money to you. No, you need to get what you need to get for that child. I was mad about paying child support. I paid $2,000 a month for years, but my kids needed that, and sometimes that wasn't even enough. So you're gonna have people that don't want to pay child support that's gonna try to reduce it to $50 a week or $35 a week, and that's nothing. That's going to McDonald's for breakfast and lunch, and that's in one day. So hold them accountable. Get what you're supposed to get, and keep it real. Be honest. Be stern. Don't relent. Don't give in. Don't be soft. Don't be a walkover. And don't be making plans and having a sex with them and all this other stuff and laughing and joking. No, they had a chance to be that person with you in a relationship, and they chose not to do that. That was me.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So our second tip is to keep all communication clear and concise, be brief,
Yes.
be
Yes.
factual, and be
Yeah.
direct, be very straight to the point. And try as much as you can to avoid all emotional conversations,
Yes.
because the toxic co-parents will try to twist your words and bend you out of shape to get you to bend to their will, because if you've been in a relationship with this person, you both know each other's triggers, you know the buttons.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to push those buttons to manipulate you. And I would say written communication is probably the best form of
Yeah.
communication if possible, whether that be text message, email, postal mail. That's the best way to communicate with that person, because you can always refer back to the document to say, on this day at this time, I said this, you said that, we agreed to X, Y, and Z. And here you can see where you didn't do, or I didn't do, or whatever the case may be. But that keeps both of you accountable. It's not
Right.
necessarily just about holding them accountable, but it's about holding you accountable as well, because we're human beings and we're flawed. So with that being said, try
So
to stick to written communication.
you communication, being factual, being strict, keeping your word. The biggest part about that you said also is removing, or you didn't say removing, but removing your emotions. That's extremely important, because what they are going to try to do is make you jealous while they're dating somebody else, and they're gonna make up. Well, me and my girlfriend want to take the kids downtown, or me and my girlfriend want to take the kids to Miami. If it's not legal that they can take the kids, don't let them take them. A lot of times they use another person to get you upset and make you jealous because you got somebody else that's better than them. So keep your emotions out of it. Keep your communication factual and precise. You're exactly right.
Cool. Yay. Okay. So, number 3, avoid arguments because toxic people love conflict. And like I said, they love pushing your buttons, and they will try to provoke you into a spicy conversation, if you will. And they're going to try and control the situation while manipulating you, all while feeding their egos. So, just keep your focus on the children, because that is what is most important. I know it might not necessarily, it seems easier said than done, but I think that if you apply a little pressure to your practice, it is possible. The practical application will be good. And if not, there's no perfect situation, but it will be better than what you're used to. So try it.
Right. Yeah. So again, stay on top of what's going on. Um, and I meant to say something earlier, but communication, take notes. Like you said, emails, text messages, have proof. That's very, very important. The more you hold them accountable, the more that you show that you're serious, the less games they are going to play. They're going to still try to play games. They're going to still try to smooth up on you. They're going to still try to come around. They're going to still try to get you to drop your guard and lower your standards and remove your boundaries. Don't ever do that. Because now,
Awesome.
when a person that's toxic, that's on the outside looking in, they don't like being there. But when they were on the inside looking out, they don't want to be there either. So you gave them a choice, and they chose to be on the outside looking in, and that's who you keep them. But make sure they respect you.
Absolutely. Okay. So the fourth tip is to put the children first. I know that as parents that people are probably looking at the screen like, duh, I'm a parent. I get it. But always make sure that your child or your children are at the forefront of your thoughts, and make sure that you have their best interests at heart. Sometimes going back and forth with your ex seems like that is the priority, because the more you argue, the less focus you place on the kids, because you're more focused on either being right or proving them wrong. Whatever the situation is, the kids are who are suffering. And that's not necessarily whether they're listening to you or not. Kids pick up on everything. They feel the energy, they see the vibe, they understand to a certain extent, I think, when things are going right and when things aren't going right. And a lot of times they will blame themselves. So I would say make sure that you keep the focus on the kids, and that try to reassure them that this is happening. It may be happening to them, but it's not because of them, because you definitely don't want them to try to take responsibility for everything that's going wrong.
The
Leon?
best thing yeah, good point. The best thing you could do when it comes to the kids, keeping them first, is to have a detailed outline of the year's events. You have to stay ahead of that toxic person, whether it's Easter, PTA meetings, graduations, birthdays, Halloween, Christmas, whatever it is. Make sure you map out that year's events, and this is what you plan to do. Give them a chance to be a part of Easter, the Easter egg hunt, buying clothes. Give them a chance to come to the spring break. Give them a chance to come to graduation. Give them the chance to come to PTA meetings. Give them a chance, but you have to stay ahead of them, because what's going to happen is if they get ahead of you and they start planning before you, and you're the custodial parent, they're going to start trying to manipulate the time that they have with the kids, which includes vacation times, birthdays, all these things. And then they're going to include their new supply with them and their children, your children, to make you mad. So make sure you have a detailed plan, and half 6 months or a year, and it's out, and you can get it notarized and give it to your lawyer. Make sure they got it on record. They try to make sure they got it on file. It's sad that you got to do all this, but you do. And when you do it once or twice and it's put in place, you will keep and hold their attention, unless they just don't want to be there as a parent. But all in all, you have your guideline and you have the protection of the kids, and you're putting the kids first.
Cool. So Leon hit on the fifth tip that I have for you guys, and that was to like limit. I think we both kind of hit on it, but anyway, to limit the direct contact that you have with your toxic ex, right? And
Yes.
You utilize their. A friend of mine is going through a similar situation, and she told me that there is a co-parenting app that she uses. I'm not familiar with it because I don't have to deal with it. However, do your research and find whatever co-parenting app out there is most beneficial to you, and I would suggest that you implement that into your daily routine to help you navigate these treacherous waters of toxic ex co-parenting, and then keep your communication to a minimum. Yeah,
Very
you got anything?
important. Very important. Keep it to a minimum. No joking around. If y'all getting along, it's cool to laugh. Keep the flirting away. Don't even go near flirting. Um, Subtle touches, gifts, exchanging gifts. Hey, what you cook today? None of your business. Keep them out of your business, because if they wanted to be in your business, they will be inside the home with the kids and you.
There you go. All right. So number 6, we're almost done, you guys. Be as civil as possible. I man, anyway, I ain't gonna go down that lane. But just be civil, because taking things personally, once again, will give them that ammunition that they need, because they feed off of that drama, right? So you don't even want to give it to them. Just, I know it sucks, but keep together, be as civil as possible, keep everything professional, and don't take things personal, because them toxic people don't take your feelings into account. If you start crying, they don't care. I just told y'all they don't care. And the actions typically prove that it clearly, because y'all exes. So something, typically people don't stay with people, they don't break up with people that's treating them right. Just saying. So they probably did something that made them an ex. So keep your focus on the kids and maintain a cool head. And that's probably what's going to help you prevail.
Keep it civil is probably the best way to put it. I will tell you a story. Young lady I was talking to, helping her. She called me, said, "Hey, Leon, my boyfriend asked me to come over. You know, we got the child support going on. We got the custody. We're doing." I said, "Don't go over there." She said, "Well, he seems," that's the key word. He seems okay. He seems cool. I said, "He's not.
Mm.
He's been nice, Leon." I said, "Okay, don't go." Well, what did she do? Not only did she go over there, but he accused her of sexual assault. They put her in jail and she lost her job.
Oh my God.
This happened last year. True story. A lady that I've been working with, telling her he's a Leon. I never put anybody in jail, but I would get a woman to get so mad that she would hit me, and I would tell her, yeah, I had that in me. But set her up. He accused her of sexual assault. They arrested her, and she lost her job.
Oh
Yep,
my God.
yep. Keep it, like you said, Claudette. Keep it civil,
Yeah.
calm. Do not argue. Don't fight, because they will set you up. They are mad that you got the kids. They're mad that they're paying child support. They're mad that you got a new boyfriend. They're mad that the kids like your new boyfriend. They will set you up not to just hurt you, but get you to lose custody of your kids, and then you have to pay them child support. Keep it
And
civil.
that is a awesome segue into the next tip, which is to seek professional assistance. Like whether you need a mediator or whether you need a lawyer, whether you need counseling, seek the professional help and try as much as you can. Please try to make sure that you're not taking it personally in the sense that you feel like I'm a failure and people gonna be in your business. It is a nasty situation. They have shown you who they are. Please believe them and please get the help that you need so that you and your child or your children can have the best possible outcome with this situation, because it does not necessarily have to be as nasty as it is with you right now. It can be better, but sometimes you got to put that ego aside, you got to put that pride down, and you got to do what's best for those kids. And sometimes going to seek professionals is the best way to go.
Seeking, can you hear me? Oh, you froze, Claudetta.
They deal with this all the time. You don't. And they
Can you hear me? Okay. So
yeah.
seek professional help. You had froze for like 30 seconds. Seek professional help. And here's why. Also, here's why, because you said some valid things. A lot of y'all try to help these men and women on your own, and you cannot do it. This is why you can't do it. My numbers are 186. What is 186? I went back to my grandfather, who was whatever, how old he was. No, I'm sorry, my number's 240. My grandfather was maybe 86 when he passed. My dad was 60 when he passed. I'm 59. My grandfather was never treated. My dad was never treated, and I got treated at 47. So you're talking about, let's see, 80, 120, 180, 180 years of untreated men in my family. That's just my dad and his father, not the DNA I have from my mother and her mother. So you can easily say 300 years of people not being treated, 300 years of trauma, 300 years of drama, on top of slavery, which we have PTSD passed down from that. Then you talk about Proposition 48, Civil Rights Movement. You cannot fix this man that has 186 average years, and that's for a 46-year-old man at the time for me, of untreated drama and trauma. A lot of y'all stay too long and you stay too long, and you wind up getting a bunch of flowers at your funeral because you stayed too long. You cannot fix these people. Seek professional help for, like Claudette said, for you and your children. And if they can't match or meet your level of professional help, you shouldn't be with them. You can't be with them, period. Because then you have, it's called job relationship mismatch. Right person with the wrong person.
Got it. So my last tip is to we already talked about this, but be ready, get ready, baby, because these guilt trips, if you like to travel, just decline this trip. The guilt trip, don't go on it, because they coming for you. They coming for you with the gaslighting and any other type of manipulation tricks that they can conjure up, they're going to use them. And accountability, like we said, is not a strong trait with toxic people. So you just try to stay focused on your child and your children. And that person, understand that person can be difficult, but if you develop and maintain clear boundaries and you consistently apply pressure, right? And you are going to create a healthier and more productive environment for yourself, your child, and your children. And I sincerely hope that for anybody that's dealing with somebody in this situation, because no one should be living with living a life full of stress like that, because that can send you to an early grave. And we definitely do not want that. You should be living and flourishing in your life.
Yeah, living, flourishing in your life, getting well. What's going to happen is once if you do these tips, one thing leads to another. Before you know it, you're living and you are flourishing from the 7 to 8 tips of Clark that I gave you, and you're healthy. Mental health, you're healthy, and then when you become healthy, you have clarity. When you have clarity, you have wherewithal. When you have wherewithal, you're able to see who you have been and what you're still dealing with or not dealing with, preferably. So staying healthy, mentally healthy is very, 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 very important for not only you, but like you said a while ago, the kids come first, period.
Okay. So we are about to wrap up here pretty soon, but I wanted to leave you guys with my closing and final thoughts, and then I'll let Leon give his closing and final thoughts. Cool?
Yep, yep.
Got it. Okay. So the questions and the tips that I tried to research, I did that with hopes that they could help you guys with your decisions and all of the behaviors with navigating this horrid space that some of you are in, the complexities of co-parenting with toxic people. And with I did it with the hopes of you staying, focused on your well-being, the well-being of your children, and like we said, setting boundaries and then seeking that support for you and for your kids, because not only sometimes are the kids affected by this emotionally, but they're psychologically affected by that. So I want you to keep that in mind as well while you manage this difficult situation. But when all else fails, right, I want you to remember your intent. Are you fighting for what's right? Or are you fighting to be right? And that's important. Everybody's situation is different, and only you can answer that question for you, right? Are you trying to one up your ex? You trying to show off? You know what I'm saying? Are you trying to teach that person a lesson? More than one thing can exist at the same time, and that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. But these are questions that I think are important for you to ask yourself when you're in this situation, because it will help align you with your purpose, right? And I believe that when we are aligned with our purpose, then we're going to make some significant progress that's going to put us on a path of success. Just my personal opinion. And I also want you to think about if you're trying to make the situation or the aspects of the situation difficult for that person so that you can look better, or are you managing the situation so that it can be the best situation possible? Whatever the situation is, I believe that your intentions are what is going to create and set the pace for this marathon that you're running, because I don't know of any situations to date that are like a sprint. They're not a 100-yard dash. It's going to take some time for you to get to your destination. And with regards to distance, the marathon is longer, right? So the intentions that you set are going to be what's going to determine how you run your race, right? And that's going to be your new life for as long as you stay in competition with the toxic ex, right? And as long as you try to battle that person or stay at odds with that person, you're probably going to lose, right? Even if you're at the front of the race, when your focus is on fighting that person or being better than that person, you're going to lose. The kids are the most important thing and their well-being. So I feel like that is the thing that you need to keep at the forefront of your mind. And I also think that it's important to remind yourself that perfection is a myth.
Right.
The best thing that you can do is accept your lessons and know that there is inner peace that you can achieve when the children are getting the very best version of their parents. And I hope that for anyone that is listening, that is dealing with this, anyone that is listening, that is trying to help someone who is dealing with this. That is my sincere hope for you. Leon?
Make sure, and Claudette, you told me this, it says a long time ago, your circle should be the size of a period. Some of y'all have circles that are too big, too long, hold too many people, carry too much dead weight. Just because you've been knowing somebody for 50 years don't mean that they're your friend. Strangers will cheer for you more, better, and longer than family members. Family is not always blood. Stop giving so much of your time and peace away to people that don't give you any time and peace. Give to the people that give to you. Give to people that are there for you. Remember when our mothers and fathers, we were kids, or even now, your next door neighbor needed some flour. Guess what? They return that cup of flour when they got their flour. Those type of people you want in your life that remember stuff like that. Sugar, oil, ride to the gas station, or if they go to the grocery store and bring some back just because. Start being with people just because. There's some just because people out here. They're good just because. Keep them in your life. Stop worrying about people that don't ever worry about you. You got people that don't even know your kids' name, don't even know your kids' ages, don't even know your kids' birthdays, have never attended your kids' games. Yeah, you the ones that's cooking them cookies and baking them sandwiches and cash apping the money. Stop doing that. You have a gift, you have a talent. Be present in your gift, be present in your talent for people that are present in your life. That's all I have, Claudetta. Thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you so much, Leon, for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank everyone that is tuning in. Thank you so much, wherever you're tuning in from. We wish you nothing but the absolute best, and I hope you have a wonderful day.